So I'm here to talk about mental health and resilience on St. Helena Island. And this is a study of young people. I'm going to start with the study timeline. So the first ideas about this research really came about during the first few months of 2019, which is when I was involved really in community consultation, working out what kind of research questions and what areas of interest might be relevant to young people and their families and professionals in St. Helena. And that really took about the first 6 months. That then led to a mixed methods piece of research, which I'm going to talk about for the next 14 and a half minutes. And the focus of that was really on resilience and mental health, which was collected over the course of about 18 to 20 months on St. Helena. That then developed into us looking at digital tools for mental health. And I'm going to mention a little bit of that towards the end of the presentation. There have been some subsequent studies related to this study carried out in the Falkland Islands and Ascension Islands, but I think I'm going to have to come back another time to tell you about those because time is limited today. So the research questions that we had for St. Helena was really about characterising the mental health needs of young people. What are the mental health needs? CAM services have been set up in recent years, but to date, we don't have really clear data on exactly what mental health needs are. Importantly, we're interested in what influences these mental health needs and what might be the relationship between the mental health needs that young people have, but also resilience factors. And this is a really exciting and interesting area, this relationship between resilience and mental health, because over the years, the understanding of resilience and what helps people to really achieve in life, be successful, be happy, has really emerged. And the model that I prefer to understand this under really relates to the impact on community and relationships and the environment that a person lives in, much more than purely factors about themselves. One of the things I noticed from living and working on St. Helena was this idea of self-efficacy, this importance of the belief that people could do things, they could actualize things, they could make things happen. And by that, I really mean young people. So that was something I was really keen to include in this research because it was very apparent to me from the contact that I had with young people there. One of the things I wanted to do today was share a feedback video that I had made regarding the results. So this is just over 2 minutes. So I'm going to play this, and then what I'm going to do for the rest of the presentation is do a more detailed evaluation of the results. But yeah, I think probably this video says an awful lot of what I wanted to say about the results of the research.
Wellbeing study was groundbreaking. It directly asked young people about their mental health. Previous studies in the 1990s relied on reports from teachers and parents, which painted a positive picture. However, recent research emphasizes the importance of gathering insights directly from young people themselves. Straws employed questionnaires and interviews to explore the mental health and resilience among a group of young people on St. Helena Island. 24 young individuals and their caregivers completed questionnaires assessing the mental health and resilience. Additionally, 15 young people and their parents participated in interviews with the researcher.
Being a young person on St. Helena can be great, but hard too. Here's what you told us about it.
Resilience. Despite mental health challenges, young people demonstrated high levels of resilience. Themes from the interviews included personal successes, social interactions, pleasurable activities, and anxiety management strategies. Challenges. Living on St. Helena posed frustrations due to limited resources and difficulties in maintaining trust within the close-knit community. Barriers. Carers and parents recognize mental health needs and improved services in recent years, but face barriers to consistently accessing support, including stigma and anonymity concerns. Recommendations. Parents emphasize the need for improved mental health services, additional training and psychoeducation, and the possibility to train local professionals to sustain services.
lovely. So I just want to say a very big thank you to the St. Helena Youth Parliament and all the other contributors to that video. I'm hoping that is going to be on YouTube in the next few days, so people are very welcome to watch that again. Just going to go back to the results of the study. So the study included questionnaires completed by young people, a measure of mental health, a measure of self-efficacy, as I mentioned, and a measure of resilience. And we also had a look at parental mental health for the young people who participated in the study. The power calculation for the study really required about 90 young people to participate of the 300 young people in this age living on St. Helena when the data were collected. But unfortunately, we only managed to recruit 24 young people. Of those young people, the average age was about 4 years and 8 months, and we had 11 boys and 13 girls. We also collected data from 24 carers. Of that, 20 of them were mothers, and there were a small number of fathers and grandparents. We also collected qualitative data, so that's interview data. And from that, we had 15 professionals, 10 from the Health Directorate, and 5 from the Education Directorate as well. We also had 15 carers doing the interviews as well. So that really resulted in a lot of data with a lot of results. You'll remember that one of the questionnaires asked about mental health needs, and of the 24 young people that were interviewed, 11 of them reported significant mental health needs. And you can see the type of mental health needs that were described, which were really around anxiety, depression, and tic disorders, which is an area that I have been particularly interested in. Pleasingly, the results from the data on resilience showed really high levels of resilience, and that was from the parent-reported data, but also from those data from children as well. And you can see that the scores are really similar, showing that children and young people reported a lot of strengths in relation to interpersonal relationships and their capacity to do things in their lives as well. Similarly, data from the self-efficacy questionnaire, and again, this is 24 young people responding, were all really high reports showing strong self-efficacy in relation to school and scholastic learning, in relation to relationships and social function, but also regarding emotional function too. And these data I was able to compare with some Scandinavian studies. And in this report, you can see the higher score shows stronger self-efficacy, which is indicative of a positive trait in someone. So very pleasing results. Similar scores were found on the carer mental health questionnaire, and you can see the score here compared with a couple of studies carried out in the UK. And again, the score is very similar, not considered to be different between UK populations and the carers of the young people in the study here on St. Helena Island. A lot of the data that I managed to get from this study was qualitative. So these were the interviews that I carried out, and here are some of the results from the young people themselves. This slide may feel a bit bamboozling. There's an awful lot of data here. It took me quite a long time to analyze through it with myself and my supervisor. You can see on the left the categories, and I'm not going to read through all the different categories, but the data fell into 4 different categories or areas. Using thematic analysis, I was then able to identify themes from that, and then within those themes, I was able to identify sub-themes. And just for the purpose of this presentation, I've just highlighted one particular area which relates to factors affecting mood, which of course is very pertinent to mental health.
Sorry, you've got about 5 minutes.
Oh, great. That's about all I'll need. Thank you.
5 minutes, thank you.
Perfect. So the factors affecting mood from this, and hopefully these will be of interest and make sense, are academic achievement and mood, how tests, exams and schoolwork are very important to young people and affect their mood. And here's an example of a quote from a young person. It depends on what the good news is, like say in a subject, maths or English, and like a B, I feel really good, and if I get a C, I'm okay. It depends on what I get. I feel really good about it. Another factor that impacts mood is the internet. So the internet is used to communicate and regulate mood, was a sub-theme. And again, an example was, I was a big researcher in terms of ways of using basic internet. I like that. It makes me feel good and connected. And I suppose a positive is the improved and increased connectivity in St. Helena since I was living there a few years ago. A third factor relates to engagement with the environment, which supports young people. How friends and family make young people feel good about themselves. And again, a quote from a young person, in my opinion, I think a good day is usually spent with family or friends and like not just sitting around, actually doing something, like I don't know, like going swimming or something. Here are some results from carers, and again, using that same thematic analysis with the categories in the dark blue on the left, the themes in the middle, and again, some themes on the side. So an awful lot of understanding from these data. And again, I've just selected one of the different categories, which is barriers to mental health support access. Again, very important. And there were two different sub-themes in that category. The first one was stigma in the way the community perceives mental health has reduced but persists. The sub-theme there was the community is changing and is more willing to accept mental health needs. But we have to change attitudes of people, and that's the most important thing. And again, a direct quote from one of the participants, if you had to ask me that question 5 years ago, I would say, yes, there is more stigma around. But then I actually feel now that there isn't so much stigma as it used to be. So again, seeing progress over time. And another sub-theme was stigma in the experience of and experiencing support for mental health. And one of the sub-themes there was in relation to perceived risk to anonymity. And again, a quote, in terms of, the fishbowl, the goldfish bowl, your problems are not your own. You can't keep anything secret here. So that perceived as a barrier to accessing mental health support. And the last group of interviews, again, with 15 professionals, again, with categories, themes and sub-themes. And just to highlight one area I selected was drivers that promote young people's growth. So again, we have a couple of different themes and sub-themes here. One of the main sub-themes was resolvable challenges within the community. And highlighted by one participant or several participants were that problems are not entrenched. And a direct quote, I used to work with children whose difficulties were so entrenched that very little chance of resolving a problem. It was just stopping it getting worse and making it a tiny bit of progress in a tiny area. Whereas I see here that some children were able to come with the difficulty, work through it, and then move on. Another sub-theme was the importance of support offered by families and community. And this was something that came up an awful lot in the data. Emotional support for young people through long-standing relationships with adults. Yes, I think the close-knit families, a lot of people, extended families are quite close here. Yes, you got the parents, grandparents, the aunties, uncles, cousins, and so on. I think I just have 1 minute left, maybe 90 seconds left for the presentation.
We'll call it 90 seconds. Okay.
Oh, that's kind. Thank you. So you will remember from the research questions that the kind of what next? What can we do with this data? What about young people's mental health needs? And one of the themes that came out was about the need to have something for St. Helena that looks like it's for St. Helena. And at the time I was there, digital technology was really coming out. And a lot of young people described accessing digital technology in the way of websites as a means of managing and improving their mental health. So we managed to get some funding from Overseas Territory Team Global Operations in the UK, the Health Security Agency, and we've been able to build this website, which is almost there. It's called Minding My Mind. And it was informed by those interviews as part of this research. It's based on cognitive behavioral strategies, which is really around thinking and behaving in ways to manage mental health and stress. And we're really looking forward to launching it in April, early next year, following which we'll be doing an evaluation to see what the uptake is like and what people think of the material that's been developed, with the hope to being able to continue to make that website available for as long as we can support that within SHG. So just take the last few seconds to thank everybody for listening today. It's been a great pleasure to be able to come and talk to you about this research. And I look forward to hearing everybody else's as well.